Good morning, everybody. How are you doing this morning? Hooray, hooray, hooray. It is. We're off to the races. How'd you like that this morning? The tomato bashes. Hooray. Man, what a day yesterday was. Oh man, oh man, oh man. It's been too much. Too much. But I'm back with you, fine folks. Good to see you, Debbie, Cynthia, Patrick, Mickey D, and Dick Buck. How you doing? Roxanne, Shadow Wolf, good to see you. Oh my, Ingrid, yes. Every single one of you fine folks. It is another day. It is another day of the silliness, and it just doesn't want to end. I look at the news, and all I see is silliness everywhere. Just it is completely abound in more ways than one. Just so crazy. Iran's supreme leader opens the door to negotiations with the U.S. over Tehran's nuclear program. Oh boy. Isn't this what got him in trouble in the first place? I mean, good morning, Volstorm. How you doing? Oh my gosh. It is the most unbelievable stuff today. Well, I guess it is believable because you're going to hear him say, "Oh, but he's such a wonderful guy. He's such a wonderful guy." No, he's not. He's not a wonderful guy. He is a piece of work. I guess that's the best way you can put it. He is not gonna be beautiful. Not gonna be beautiful. It is one of those mornings that what is this? Oh, I'll have to share that with you guys a little bit later. It is about it's about sushi. If you haven't seen Max's stuff, oh my gosh. Oh, who do we got? Debbie. Oh, blame her. Let him have it. Shame on him. Going to be hot here in Birmingham, Alabama. Oh, yeah, it is. It's going to be hot here in Georgia too. I mean, it's about 92 last night at like 5. I mean, that's pretty toasty at night. But hey, at least you're not in Dubai. The Ayatollah remarks set clear red lines for any talks taking place under the government and renewed his warnings that Washington wasn't being to be trusted. You think? But his comments mirror those around the time of Iran's 2015 nuclear deal with the world powers saw Tehran's nuclear program greatly curtailed in exchange for the lifting of economic sanctions, yet it remains unclear how much room that they will have to maneuver, particularly as tensions remain high in the wider Middle East over, well, no, it's just in the wider Middle East. Whenever you threaten to wipe an entire country off the face of the planet, yeah, that's I think people are a little hesitant about giving you nuclear warheads. And of course, they say, "Oh, this doesn't mean we can't interact with the same enemy in certain situations. There's no harm in that, but do not place your hopes in them." Oh, really? Are we special? Are we special? You're supposed to be in bed by now. How is it again? How's it going? Knock it off, Lord. Birmingham. More like Birmingham. Oh, now guys, don't give a hard time to Alabama. It's not their fault they're there. I mean, has the final say on all matters. Also warned the cabinet, do not trust the enemy. Khomeini, who had 85, who's occasionally urged talks or dismissed them with Washington after Donald Trump unilaterally withdrew the United States from the deal in 2018. There have been indirect talks between Iran and the U.S. in recent years, mediated by Oman and the United States Middle East interlocutors. When it comes to Iran, Khomeini's remark came a day after Qatar's prime minister visited the country. Asked for comment, the U.S. State Department told the Associated Press, "We will judge Iran's leadership by their actions, not their words." I don't know if he said it like that, but that's what he said. We have long said that we ultimately view diplomacy as the best way to achieve an effective, sustainable solution with regard to Iran's nuclear program, it said. Okay. However, we were far away from anything like that right now, given Iran's escalations across the board, including its nuclear escalations and its failure to cooperate. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the United Nations nuclear watchdog. If Iran wants to demonstrate seriousness or a new approach, they should stop nuclear escalations and start meaningful cooperation with the IAEA. Well, come on. I mean, UN talking about the UN is sort of like, telling putting North Korea in charge of human rights violations. That's another thing that they do. Aren't they wonderful? Since the deal collapsed, Iran has abandoned all limits that the deal put on its program and enriches uranium to up to 60% purity, near weapons grade levels of 90%. Surveillance cameras installed by the IAEA have been disrupted. Oh, go figure. While Iran has barred some of the Vienna-based agency's most experienced inspectors. This sounds familiar. I mean, this sounds like what happened in the Middle East before, sometime whenever they were. It was right before. It was right before all of these people were mysteriously gassed in the Middle East. Like right before that, right before they said there was no weapons of mass destruction. Yeah. See, people forget about what happened with Bush, why he went into the Middle East in the first place. Because there was this guy named Saddam that was gassing his own people. At least that's what they were told. But then they never found any weapons of mass destruction. If I'm not mistaken, UN inspectors were there, but they weren't allowed to go certain places, and they were only allowed to see what they were shown, which raised suspicions, which put us on a trajectory towards that crap. Oh, that's what I said. Okay. There were no weapons found. Okay. Remember that the UN inspectors were kicked out of the country. Of course, that's what you're going to be told. There were no weapons, mass destruction, that it was a war that George Bush started just to start the war. Okay. Is it true, or is it fake history that's been put out there and propagated? I mean, I had a pretty interesting discussion just last night with Traveling Fools. We were discussing, the war between the North and the South here, as we like to call it in the South, the War of Northern Aggression. It's amazing how many people believe that war was about slavery, and they believe this with just like that. That's true. That's true. Hey, Tom, how you doing? Good morning, Tom Gillis, Golf Instruction. I hope you're doing well, brother. Hope you're doing much better today. Meanwhile, the tensions between Israel and Iran have hit a new high during the war on the Gaza Strip. Well, this is an unavoidable war, but Hamas isn't listening, and Iran is jumping in there and causing problems. Iran launched an unprecedented drone and missile attack on Israel in April. You're just now hearing about it. After years of shadow war between the two countries reached a climax with Israel's apparent attack on a consular building in Syria. So wait, there were drone and missile attacks in April. You're just now hearing about it, but yet you've heard about an Iranian consular building in Syria that killed 2 Iranian generals. See how they like to twist the news? It's crazy that you'll hear about this in the weirdest way, because they talk about in April there was a war. They started launching missiles and drones into Israel. And in response to it, Israel went and took out a couple of generals. But they're saying that, well, it reached a climax whenever they did that. I really wonder where the AP's who gets their news from. Who's telling these people what to say? Very, very, very suspicious. A former lawmaker who won the presidency after a May helicopter crash killed a president. Campaigned in part of a promise to re-engage the West with the negotiation. Khamenei's remarks as Iran's paramount leader could provide him with a political cover to do so. And after doing everything I can, tactical retreat might sometimes be necessary, but we should not abandon our goals, our opinions at the first sign of difficulty, Khamenei said. No. The news is very, very strange, because if you read this, there's so much twisting. It's like watching a person climb into a suitcase. You know, it's disturbing, yet you can't stop watching. Like, why are you doing this? Like a contortionist. I mean, crawling into a suitcase and, crawling through a small hole. I'm very confused by all of the words and the language that they're using here, because there's issues going on in Iran, and they just don't want to talk about it. What kind of issues, you ask? What kind of issues do you ask? Well, there you go. Iranian hackers targeted a WhatsApp accounts of staffers in Biden and Trump administrations. The thing is, you don't know who they were actually attacking, because if I'm not mistaken, it was Trump that, called this out and said, Iran has been doing this. They've been up to shenanigans. And then all of a sudden it's just like, yes, they're doing this to us too. They're totally doing this to us too. So it makes me suspicious whenever I hear these news stories come out there saying, and including Biden Harris's opposition in the same aspect, where they say, "Oh no, that we're being attacked too." And it's pretty easy to understand. Why it becomes suspicious. What's up, Yamaha? Good to see you. Ozfish is talking in her sleep again. You want to buy me a pizza? Mm-hmm. I got toppings. Funston's like pizza. Yep. Because even the New York Post is putting this out here. Harris for Trump. Flip-flopping camel toe copies the Don. Pretends she's not really liberal. GOP, tough border talk is all a con job. Yeah. Yeah. These are the news stories you only get here. She cannot stop. She just can't stop. Just can't stop. See? There she goes. You should read the article above that. The article above that says, camel toe in a completely original move descends down an escalator after announcing her bold and original border policy to build the wall. Oh, yeah. This is, like I said, every time you hear these silly people wanting to say that something's happening, but there you go.
Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right? Just, there's something about and most of us, many of us went to school on the yellow school bus, right? Space is exciting. It spurs our imaginations, and it forces us to ask big questions. Space, it affects us all, and it connects us all. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? When we talk about the children of the community, they are the children of the community. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time. And we got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously. A mother who pays a coyote to transport her child through their country of origin, through the entire country of Mexico, facing unknown peril to come here. Why would that mother do that? I will tell you. Because she has decided for that child to remain where they are is worse. But what does Donald Trump do? He says, go back to where you came from. That is not reflective of our America and our values, and it's got to end. To be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border, do not come. Do not come.
I'm not doing it.
And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
Yes. That is the flip-flopping camel toe. That is the flip-flopping camel toe. That is a constant. That is an absolute constant. Oh, just amazes me. Amazes me. So whenever I say the same Iranian hacking group that is believed to target both, from what we understand, it was, come on, I want the Trump response. Nope, not giving it to you. Not going to do it. Not doing it. Oh, come on. First thing you do, you make me look at is that moose knuckle. Yes. Tried to go after the WhatsApp accounts of staffers in the administration of Joe Biden and former Donald Trump. Meta Platform said Friday. I don't know. Also, Meta Platform said that the Biden administration came after Meta and told them to suppress the truth. Like, if you haven't seen the letter from Mark Zuckerberg that I showed a couple of days ago, well, that's where they're at. Good morning, everyone. I took the yellow bus. Hey, King Paco. Meta said it discovered the networks of hackers who posed as tech support agents for companies including AOL. AOL's still around? So Microsoft, Yahoo, and Google. After individuals who received the suspicious WhatsApp message reported that Meta's investigators linked the activity to the same network blamed for the hacking incident reported by Trump's campaign. Yes, this was Trump's campaign that was attacked by Iranian hackers. But of course, well, no, it's both parties. It's both parties were hacked. It is one of those where I'm just like, well, you guys stop. Really, stop. Stop being stupid. Why so stupid? Trump campaign in an attempted breach, the Biden-Harris campaign was part of a broader Iranian effort to interfere with the U.S. presidential election. A statement Friday from Meta, the parent of Facebook and Instagram, said that the hackers had tried to target the WhatsApp account of individuals in the Middle East, the United States, and the United Kingdom, as well as political and diplomatic officials, including unidentified officials associated with. Okay, we have to throw Biden in there too. Because it's like, hey, why wouldn't they want to attack, go after Biden? Have you ever seen Biden's tweets? Like, just like the most asinine crap that you ever heard. It's like, what was it that I heard the other night? I would rather choke a kitten to death than listen to Campbell laugh. I was like, that's pretty harsh. Pretty harsh. Oh, God. Unidentified officials associated with the Trump and Biden administration is a small cluster of accounts that were blocked by Meta, the company said. We have not seen evidence of the targeted WhatsApp accounts being compromised, but abundance of caution. We're sharing our findings publicly, in addition to sharing information with law enforcement and our industry peers, said in a statement. In a report this month, Google's threat intelligence arm said the same Iranian group, which linked it to the country's Revolutionary Guard, had tried to infiltrate the personal email accounts of roughly a dozen people linked to Biden and Trump since May. That report expanded on a separate study released days earlier by Microsoft that revealed suspected Iranian cyber intrusion in this year's presidential election. Now, it's weird to me that they mentioned this in 2015 and then again in 2024, but why are they mentioning anything about 2016 and 2020? Interesting, huh? The U.S. intelligence officials say Iran's increasingly aggressive use of cyber attacks and disinformation has several motives: to confuse and polarize voters in an effort to undermine confidence in U.S. democracy. Well, because U.S. democracy is horrible, especially being that we're a constitutional republic. The use of cyber attacks and disinformation, and to oppose candidates that believes will increase tension between Washington and Iran. Now, it's weird that Google would say this: the candidates that it believes will increase tensions. Well, I don't think they're worried about Biden because he's done nothing but, take a knee. He's sucked up entirely. I mean, his administration has been always to kowtow to other countries. So why would they go after him? They're definitely not going after Camel Toe. You notice that. Why would they go after her? Iran has vowed revenge against Trump, whose administration ended a nuclear deal with Iran, reimposed sanctions, and ordered the killing of Iranian General Soleimani. Really weird how that happened, huh? That's why I have very little faith that they're going to even bother with Harris. In July, Director of National Intelligence Avriel Haines said Iranian's government gave covert support to American protests against Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza. You see where this is going? I think you're starting to get the point here. All those protesters that are showing up on colleges, all the protesters that were paid to be outside of the DNC. Yeah. You didn't hear about that. I mean, you heard about the DNC, but did you hear about all of the arrests. Did you hear about all of the protesters that were out there? No. No. You don't hear about the protesters and the rioters and the violent mobs that are running around through the UK. No. You're not allowed to have that talked about. Groups linked to Iran posed as online activists, encouraged campus protests, and provided financial support to those protest groups. And they say, oh, some, no, to the protest groups. The whole Free Palestine that are out there marching, yeah, they're being paid by people. Iran. And of course, the messages that were left with Trump and Harris campaigns were not immediately returned Friday. Imagine that. That was Friday. And here we are, halfway through the week. Beautiful Wednesday. Huh. Weird. So strange. So odd. And it just goes on and on. Biden advisor meets with Qatar leaders, discuss Israel-Hamas negotiations. Oh, I'm sure they do. I am positive that he's sitting over there, top Middle East advisor on Tuesday, held talks in Doha with senior Qatari leaders on efforts to complete a ceasefire and hostage deal between Israel and Hamas, as well as the Qatari's prime minister meeting this week with Iran's president, according to U.S. officials. White House senior advisor Brett McGurk, McGurk, talks with Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Sheikh Mohammed al-Hadi. We're not even going to try to pronounce the names. After the Prime Minister Monday visit to Iran to meet with Iran's president, another zinky, whatever. The talks also come as ceasefire talks aims at winning at least pause the war. Pause it. You have to pause it before the election. Oh my God. This is not looking good. Because if they try to make a nuclear deal with Iran, they're just basically undoing all of the progress that's happened in the Middle East. All of the progress. It was, the thing was with Iran said they said, stop enriching uranium. Stop it. Or we're going to put sanctions against you. And Iran said, we're going to do what we want. I do what I want. I don't like it. There's more. There's more garbage coming our way. Don't forget the Purple Heart he received with courageously riding his bike. Oh, I know. He was so brave and bold. I mean, obviously they ran some polling to show it favors him in Minnesota and Wisconsin, or they wouldn't do it. But it's heretical to think that SOS or election commissioner that you can do that and drop Joe. I know, Brandon. Yes. Was it in Chicago again? Damn it, that Mailer Daily. And stairs. Trying to find exit. They're just going to kick him to the curb. Yeah. It is one of those crazy things that you're gonna say. Hear plenty about this. A hostage in Gaza is rescued by Israel after 326 days of captivity. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce this guy's name. He was alone underground Tuesday after 326 days of captivity in Gaza when Israeli forces scoured Hamas's vast tunnel network and found it and freed him. Suddenly, I heard someone speaking Hebrew outside the door. I couldn't believe it. Akadi 52 recounted from an Israeli hospital during a phone call with Israel's president as his large Bedouini Arab family gathered around his bedside in a joyful reunion. He was the 8th hostage to be rescued by Israeli forces since about 250 were kidnapped during the October 7th attack on a music festival that deleted over 1,000 people. And the first to be found alive underground, the rescue brought rare moment of relief to the Israelis after 10 months of war, but also served as a painful reminder that dozens of hostages are still in captivity as its international mediators try to broker a ceasefire. International mediators trying to broker a ceasefire. You're going to hear a lot of that. Al-Qadi expressed gratitude for the call with Israel's President Isaac Herzog and urged his country's leaders to do everything to free the dozens still in captivity. Work 24 hours. And they're saying dozens? Like 2 dozen would be 30. Over 30. You've got over 200 hostages still not accounted for. And of course, President Isaac Herzog and urged his country's leaders to do everything possible to free the dozens still in captivity. Work 24 hours, don't sleep until they return. People are really suffering. You can't imagine, he said, according to the transcript of the call provided by Herzog's office. Qadi was found in this, and why don't we hear the rest about what was said on his transcript? Because I am sure there was a hell of a lot more he had to say. Does Trump have an ad with a video of those Afghans falling off that plane while yeah, I think we need that. Yeah. Morning, Toy. Good to see you. She's halfway there, guys. Toy is halfway there of getting her name back. She's going to come back and she's just going to be welcomed back with open arms. Mm-hmm. The brainwash, of course, blamed the botched Afghan war withdrawal on Trump. Yeah, fuck, blame the pudding pops. He's like, woohoo! Daring and courageous activities conducted inside the so deep inside the Gaza Strip. Military said it applied lessons learned during previous operations while rescuing Al-Qadi. Earlier in the war, Israeli troops who encountered 3 hostages inside Gaza accidentally killed them, believing them to be militants. Qadi was one of 8 members of Israel's Bedouini Arab minority. I'm not even going to try to say the damn name. Abducted on October 7th, he was working as a guard at a packing factory, one of several farming communities that came under attack. He has 2 wives and is the father of 11 children. Well, good for you, man. 2 wives and a father of 11 kids. That is a busy man. Woo. Israel believes there are still 108 hostages in Gaza, so that's more than dozens, and then about 1/3 of them are dead. Most of the rest were freed during the week-long ceasefire in November in exchange for the release. There was not that many that were released. For the release of Palestinians imprisoned by Israel. Footage released by the Israeli military showed Al-Qadi moments after the rescue, unshaven and wearing a white tank top. He's seen sitting and smiling with soldiers before boarding a helicopter to a hospital. He appeared emaciated, but officials described his condition as stable. His large family gathered at the hospital in southern Israel city, Beersheba, to welcome him home. One of the brothers held Al-Qadi's infant son, who was born while he was in captivity and had not yet met his father. We're so excited to hug him and see him and tell him that we're all here with him, a family member who gave his name as Fayaz told Channel 12. I hope that every hostage will come home so the families can experience this happiness. Oh, man. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu also spoke with Al-Qadi by phone soon after he arrived at the hospital. He said that Israel would rely on rescue operations and negotiations to bring the remaining hostages home. Both ways together working require a military presence in the field and unceasing military pressure on Hamas, referring to Netanyahu by traditional Arabic name. Al-Qadi thanked the prime minister for enabling him to see his family again, according to a video of the call provided by Netanyahu's office. Al-Qadi reminded Netanyahu that there are others waiting, to which Netanyahu replied, "We haven't forgotten anyone, just as we haven't forgotten you." Hamas-led militants abducted some 250 people in Israel, in which some 1,200 people, men, women, children, killed. Israel's retaliatory offensive has killed over 40,000. Mm-hmm. That's what happens whenever you go and you attack another country. You capture the civilians and kill most of them during just a happy, peaceful music festival. Imagine you're in Texas, and say you're in El Paso and you're at a nice music festival, and then all of a sudden 250 of those people that were at that music festival gone. Another 1,200 remain just completely annihilated as they walk through methodically and put an extra one in a skull. You don't think that America would seek out revenge for those that did that and do everything within their power to bring those 250 people back to the United States? I mean, yeah, both sides can be wrong. Absolutely. Pretty sure that America wouldn't stop at 40,000 to get those people back. I'm pretty positive that, well, in this day and age, they probably would. I mean, they've already pretty much forgotten. The news media has already seems to have forgotten that we just had a former president, shot in the head. They seem to have forgotten all about that. Seem to have forgotten about how horrible the Secret Service botched that. Because they want to talk about Israel. Well, what about Ukraine? Notice you haven't heard any news coming out about Ukraine. The little bits and snippets that you get is Russia coming back into Ukraine and basically firing rockets into Ukraine and destroying parts of their cities. Yeah, how's that 120 billion doing Ukraine now? Not just in money that they're probably laundering around, but in military equipment being supplied to Ukraine. How's so they could go and attack a Russian border towns? You're not hearing anything about the nuclear power plant that they were just right nearby. I haven't heard anything about that. Ukraine is crushing Russia. Sure. Al-Qadi reminded Netanyahu that there are others waiting, to which Netanyahu said none have forgotten. Israel's retaliatory offensive has killed over 40,000 Palestinians, according to Gaza health officials, who do not say how many were militants. Of course, is displaced 90% of the Gaza's 2.3 million people from their homes and caused heavy destruction across the besieged territory. Israeli airstrikes continued on Tuesday across the Strip, and Palestinian officials said at least 18 people, including children, were killed in those attacks. Two previous Israeli operations to free hostages killed scores of Palestinians. Hamas says several hostages have been killed in Israeli airstrikes and failed rescue attempts. Israeli troops mistakenly did kill 3 Israelis who escaped captivity in December. My husband, Abu Sayyam, a close family friend waiting in the hospital, said the family was overjoyed to hear the news. We're waiting for a deal for 1 year. I don't know who Sayyam is, but that's somebody else. The United States, Egypt, and Qatar have spent months trying to negotiate agreement. Keep saying the survivor of that attack that killed the 13 Marines lives down the road. She's messed up for life. It's sad. Makes me despise Biden even more. She was a medic. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. War is a horrible, horrible thing. War is a horrible thing. And if you're wondering what I was talking about, about Harris, this is what I'm talking about with Harris. 2016 presidential campaign entering its final months, and seemingly all of Washington was abuzz how Russian hackers had penetrated email accounts of Democrats. Really? Triggered a release of internal communications that seemed designed to boost Donald Trump's campaign and hurt Hillary Clinton's. That's not how I remember it. From what I remember, that Hillary had emails that were leaked because they were insecure, because they were off-site, they were in private locations, and those email servers were destroyed. And why would she have sensitive documents on an offline server and still not be prosecuted? I mean, people forgot that she was in charge of Burisma. If anyone thought that she had a chance of winning, it was just the Democrats that were carrying her water. Triggering the release of internal communications that seemed designed to boost Donald Trump's campaign and hurt Hillary Clinton's. Yet there was a notable exception. The officials investigating the hacks were silent. Figure. When they finally issued a statement 1 month before the election, it was just 3 paragraphs and did little more than confirm what had been publicly suspected, that there had been brazen Russian effort to interfere in the vote. Of course, they don't talk about 2020. They don't talk about the voting machines in 2020. She wasn't that bad. Toomey said so. You voted for Trump because of Russia. I heard we'd be going to war with them if Hillary won. No, thanks. Also, good thing you and Diva hope you have a good day. Yes, you both have a wonderful day. That was not the only things of hers that leak. I think her lizard venom glands behind her hidden fangs leak. The Darth Vader gear that enables artificial respiration also leaks. Yeah. This year, there was another foreign hack, but the response was decidedly different. U.S. security officials acted more swiftly to name the culprit, detailing their findings and blaming a foreign adversary, this time Iran, just over a week after Trump's campaign revealed the attack. You notice there's nothing to do with Biden mentioned. They accused Iranian hackers of hacking the presidential campaign. Oh, of both major. Yes, us too. We've been hacked also. Why is everybody always giving like the Trump campaign like good press? Russia. The forthright response is part of a new effort to be more transparent about threats. It was a task easier made because the circumstances weren't politically volatile as in 2016. When a Democrat administration was investigating Russia's attempts to help a Republican candidate, which turned out to be made up BS by the left. Yes, it was Hillary Clinton's campaign that hired someone to write the dossier that started all of this crap in the first place. But also reflects lessons learned from the past. Jesus. With protecting elections from foreign adversaries were criticized by some for holding on to sensitive information and lambasted by others for wading into politics. This is certainly an example of that, getting out there quick to like say, look, this is what Iran is trying to do. It's an important way of building public resilience against this propaganda effort by Iran. Jesus. Iran doesn't need to use propaganda against the U.S. because the left does enough of that. And because I guarantee you, if I look up the Center for Strategic and International Studies, what am I going to find? What am I going to find? That they are a left-wing group. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet that this right here is a left-wing group? How much you want to bet? I could almost go down through here and figure this stuff out in the most maniacal way. Because I'm looking down through this group here. Because what I'm seeing is people that look like they're they were part of Obama's campaign. Yeah. I'm pretty much calling bullshit on this group right here. Yes. Experts, corporate officers, leadership, and staff. I'm looking down through this, and I don't want to show you guys because this is the group that we're talking. Oh yeah. I'm looking down through here. Program manager. Smart Women, Smart Power Initiative, and Outreach Manager, International Security Program. I'm going down here and looking through these people, and it might be all the group that they have going here. It's not good. All topics. What are all of the topics? If I see any sort of thing in here, give me just a second. Yep. There it is. Yep. I could pretty much point it to you right here. Gender and International Security. Smart Women, Smart Power Project leads research, uses gender as a lens for better understanding of international relations and national security challenges to discern ways through which national security, foreign policy, and business communities. Smart Women, Smart Power, Smart Women, Smart Power. Yeah. The bonds of marriage between Syria and Iraq. Leftists shoulder the worries of AI. Yeah. Sorry. I don't buy that this is a very good group of people. Not at all. And I'm sure that if I dug into their history, it would be Camel Toe is just a puppet. Yeah. Apparently the new strategy, well, let's say do everything Trump wants to do. Muddy the waters is about bold strategy. Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. Yeah, you want to see how it plays out. This is how it plays out. Lowe's changes some diversity, equity, inclusion policies amid lethal attacks on diversity programs and activist pressures. Home improvement chain Lowe's is scaling back its DEI policies, joining the ranks of several other companies that altered their programs since the U.S. Supreme Court outlawed affirmative action in college admissions or after facing backlash. Not just conservative backlash, just backlash. Because, you hope that Americans are waking up to this and saying, yeah, this isn't good. An internal memo shared by Lowe's with the Associated Press's executive leadership and the retailer began reviewing its programs following the court's July 2023 ruling. It's been over a year that they ruled on this. And the company recently decided to combine its resource groups, which were individual groups representing diverse sections of our associated population, to one umbrella organization. The retailer will also no longer participate in an annual survey by the Human Rights Campaign that measures workplace inclusion for gay employees. It will also stop sponsoring and participating in events such as festivals, parades that are outside of its business areas. Do you see what pressure does? What consumer pressure does to these places that want to carry on the DEI stuff? I mean, look at who's running for president this year on the Democrat side. If you don't think that wasn't a diversity, an equitable, and inclusive hire, come on. Retailer will also no longer participate in this bold choice. The changes were made to ensure Lowe's policies are lawful and aligned with its commitment to include everyone. We may make additional changes over time, the company's leadership team said in the memo. What will not change, though, is our commitment to our people. Oh, isn't it special? Robbie Starbuck, a conservative political commentator, has gone after companies like Tractor Supply and John Deere, takes credit for the changes Monday, saying he had approached a Lowe's executive online last week and detailed his plans to expose the company over its hiring policies and other topics, such as gay employee resources and funding for gay pride events. However, Lowe's spokesperson Steven Salazar pushed back on the claim in an email Tuesday, noting that Starbucks' outreach came after the company already announced changes that had been long in process internally. The company memo did not specify what exactly these changes were implemented, but noted that they were discussed at an August 21st meeting. Over the last week, Lowe's has knocked down a different claim spreading on social media, which digitally altered image quoted Lowe's CEO Marvin Ellison as saying that conservatives who didn't like the company's values could instead shop at a rival Home Depot. Well, that's the thing. Look at the people that created those fakes. Look at those people that created the fakes. Those are the ones that are telling you, we don't want to have this. We don't like the diversity. We don't like the equity. We don't like the inclusion. That should just be human nature. If you want to be equitable to somebody, then leave them the hell alone. If you want to be inclusive of somebody, invite them in. If you want someone to be diverse, then go be diverse. We don't care. Over the last week, Lowe's CEO did not make this comment, the company wrote in response to several users who shared the image. Everyone is welcome at Lowe's. Of course they are. For his part, Ellison has diversified the company's ranks, adding more women and ethically diverse leaders since taking the helm in 2018. Ellison, who is black, no, really? And grew up in a segregated rural Tennessee, no, really? Has also been outspoken about racism since the police killing of George Floyd, which sparked major protests for racial justice in 2020. Criticism of diversity, equity, and inclusion policies has extended well beyond Lowe's to companies all across all industries. They include boycott calls on social media as well as legal attacks following the Supreme Court's affirmative ruling, which many And see, they say anti-DEI activists want to use the similar precedent in the working world. See, these are people from all walks of life that are saying this is not, we don't want this Marxist crap in our society. Yet we have a current vice president and a current president that is what they've been promoting for the past 10 years, 12 years. Starbuck, who has a sizably following on X, has used the platform as a megaphone to target diversity, equity policies at tractor supply farm equipment maker John Deere, motorcycle manufacturer Harley Davidson, and whiskey maker Jack Daniels. During an interview with AP last month, 35-year-old Cuban said he has either he's Cuban or he's American. I believe he is he's American. And said he has a list of companies he is thinking of posting content about, but was starting with the ones that have traditionally conservative consumer bases. Following an online pressure campaign earlier this summer, Tractor Supply and John Deere ended they ended those diversity measures. Last week, Harley Davidson backtracked on its policies, although the company noted in its announcements that it has not operated a DEI function since April 2024. We haven't done anything since April 2024. Yeah. Meanwhile, spokesperson for Daniels, Brown Foreman, said last week that it has adjusted its DEI strategy to ensure it continues to drive business results while appropriately recognizing the current environment in which we find ourselves. Yeah, the bad part about riding a fence is usually you fall and crack your nuts. Though the changes are welcomed by conservatives, activists, they're welcomed by, they should be welcomed by everyone, because you have to remember that all of this garbage stems from Marxism. Like, make it go away, make it make sense. The advocates of diversity, equity, and inclusion say that by conceding to Starbucks and other right-wing figures, corporations are essentially giving in to hate. No, they're taking away the hate. That's the problem. That's what they don't like, because it's all your DEI is doing is segregating people. If people want to segregate themselves, let them do that. But don't force it upon him. I have no problem hanging out with people that I disagree with. But that's the problem with diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're forcing people to hang out with people they don't want to be associated with, and then calling it hate whenever they don't want to deal with them. If you've got some crazy Karen yelling there, screaming at you, that she wants to do harm to you because you don't support Trump, does that make you want to be anywhere near the crazy Karen? No, they're telling you with diversity, equity, inclusion that you have to stand there and listen to that crazy batshit woman tell you all about how horrible, Trump or Muslims or whatever the hell they want to scream about, them crazy leftist conservatives. All the companies that have been called out are only stating they are now that they are rolling back DEI. Fake, I know. Because I will tell you from working at a company, it was mandatory that they had people to come in and try to tell us what we thought or what we believed. And we pretty much, you're talking to a bunch of mechanics. We don't interact with women on the same level that somebody in a corporate boardroom might. We don't. There's very few women that we would find that were mechanics where I worked, and it wasn't because you don't find women mechanics. It's just they couldn't hack the kind of work that we were doing. They didn't apply for the jobs. think there was one woman there, and she basically started so much crap inside the workplace that they fired her. Tried accusing two guys of doing something whenever they have on camera that they weren't even there that day. She was doing it to get them fired. Yeah, that was the kind of crap that people were pulling. Stark said it's a challenging environment for companies today, but stressed that a majority are keeping diversity and inclusion programs in place because they make good business sense. However, following last year's Supreme Court decision, she noted that businesses need to ensure their DEI programs are on firm ground and avoid overcorrection when and if backlash arrives. This isn't just a step backwards for workplaces. No, it's really to retreat from how we normalize practices that remove barriers and impediments for everyone. On Tuesday, the Human Rights Campaign, which Lowe's is no longer partnering with under its new policy, blasted such retreats and pointed to potential impacts on companies' bottom line by turning off gay and other consumers. That has no place here. Lowe's doesn't care who they sell, a chainsaw to. Lowe's doesn't care who they sell a shovel to. They don't care whether you're black, white, Hispanic, that just, jump the freaking border. They're there to sell a shovel. They're there to sell a chainsaw. They want to sell you a grill. They don't care, if you're going down on some dude at the same time that you do it. Don't care. Do you want to buy the damn microwave or not? Do you want the fridge? I don't care if you're storing all of your husband's semen in there. Matters not to me. Do you want to buy the fridge or not? Oh, Jack Daniels, but here we are. Oops, sorry about that. I probably should say my reading glasses on first. Oh, the number of female mechanics is slim to start with, and just the number of women in the oil field. Oh yeah, I mean, I can, we had someone in our welding shop that was female. And I'll never forget the day that some guy grabbed her ass. Yeah, and then ran into a bathroom to hide from her and lock the door. She took a fire extinguisher and fired that thing off inside the bathroom. Dude just about suffocated. And then whenever he came out, she hit him with the damn fire extinguisher. It was a small fire extinguisher. It wasn't one of the big ones. It was a small fire extinguisher. And she let that thing up underneath the door. Oh, filled it up, and because a fire extinguisher will take all of the oxygen out, and that's what happened. He couldn't breathe. We opened the door, came out, and then she beat him with the damn fire extinguisher. Yeah, don't mess with Sparky. And everybody just sat there and laughed at him for it. Yeah, that right there was how it used to be. Now you do some crap like that, and they're going, oh no, assault. Oh, no, you dealt with it and you said, yeah, not cool. Stand your ground. Not put up with it. He didn't ever do it again. Never. On Tuesday, the Human Rights Campaign, which Lowe's is no longer partnering with, Orlando Gonzalez, HRC Senior Advisor, which is the Human Rights Campaign Senior Advisor, President of the program's research and training, called the changes "they're short-sighted decisions contrary to safe and inclusive workplaces that would create a snowball effect of negative long-term consequences." Gonzalez took particular aim at Starbucks, arguing companies should not cower to a random guy with zero business experience. And that the activist was removed from the Tennessee Republican Party because he's so extreme. Really? Starbuck is really extreme, huh? Here we go. Starbuck, who did not immediately respond to a request for comment Tuesday, said last month that his list included companies perceived as mainstream or middle of the road politically, including Microsoft. For companies such as a coffee chain, Starbucks, on the other hand, it would be hard to force boycott pressure on them. Exactly. But whenever they see that whenever you notice that people are like, yeah, we're not proud of this. So Stark noted the outcome of the U.S. election will also turn the thermostat up or down on the diversity equity conversation. A second term for Donald Trump would likely increase pressure against those policies. Many of Trump's supporters already signaling ways they'd like to see such practices dismantled because they're racist. Bigots. Where his challenger camel toe could have the opposite effect. It will have the opposite effect. We can see potentially a resurgence of diversity, equity, and inclusion related efforts or retrenchment. She said, I think, though, the line will be that companies will continue again to do this work in practice or in name, but the degree to which they show up publicly will be dependent on the landscape. And look at the names that wrote this. They cover Amazon retail and technology, and Wyatt Grantham Phillips is a business reporter who covers trendy news for the AP. She is based in New York. I don't know. I've never known a woman named Wyatt. Just saying. A woman generally is not named Wyatt. Hey, what do I know? What do I know? Well, here's what I don't know. What to know about the Orapucci, whatever virus, also known as sloth fever. Sloth fever. For more than 20 people returning to the U.S. from Cuba. Wait. Okay. Have been infected with a virus transmitted by bugs in recent months. They said this on Tuesday. They had a sloth fever. None have died. There's no evidence that it's spreading in the United States, but officials are warning U.S. doctors to be lookout for the infection in travelers coming from Cuba and South America. You mean illegals? So what's this virus? Well, it's native to forested tropical areas and was first identified in 1955 by a 24-year-old forest worker on the island of Trinidad and was named for a nearby village and wetland. It's sometimes been called that because scientists first investigating the virus found it in a three-toed sloth and believed sloths were important in its spread between insects and animals. Well, how's it spread? It's by small biting flies called midges and some types of mosquitoes. Humans have become infected while visiting forested areas and believed to be responsible for helping make the virus make its way to towns and cities, but person-to-person transmission has not been documented. Well, how many cases have there been? Well, beginning late last year, the virus is identified as a cause of large outbreaks in Amazon regions. Well, what are the symptoms? Well, the symptoms are sort of typical to like malaria, fever, headache, muscles, aches. Some infected people also suffer from pooping and a lot and throwing up and, not feeling well, maybe a little rash. And some patients will suffer recurring symptoms. 1 in 20 can suffer some severe symptoms like, bleeding, meningitis, and cephalitis. It's rarely fatal, though there are recent reports of deaths. 2 young, healthy people in Brazil. Not like the monkeypox. I mean, if you want to defeat this virus, all you got to do is get the monkeypox. In Brazil, officials are investigating reports that infections might pass on from one pregnant woman to a fetus. Oh my gosh. Potentially frightening echo of what's seen during Zika outbreaks nearly a decade ago. Yeah, it's hard to believe it was a decade ago. CDC has recommended that pregnant women don't travel to Cuba. I would suggest probably not want to go to Cuba in the first place at all. Anyhow, they're wearing long sleeve shirts and pants in the heat. It's 92 degrees outside. Are you wearing your shirt and pants? Oh my God. Oh. Oh man. What do we have? Harris is going to sit down with CNN for her first interview since launching her presidential bid. Go figure. Go figure that's what she's going to be doing. Go figure that is what she's going to be doing. But all you have to know is this is what you're going to get.
Never let anyone take your joy from you. I call myself a joyful warrior. Right? Never let anyone take your joy from you. You do what you got to do. And isn't that a wonderful way to live? To know you have purpose.
Oh, yeah. Joyful. Joyful. Camel Toe is going to be sitting down with CNN this week for her first interview since Joe Biden dropped his re-election bid in over a month. The Democrat presidential nominee will be joined by her running mate, Tim Walz, in an interview with CNN. Why does she have to have Tim Walz with her? She's what, 60? I think she's 69. Her favorite number. Actually, she's more like a 68. You owe her one. Isn't that right? Oh. And guess who she's going to be sitting with? Dana Bash. The same one that sat down with JD Vance, and JD Vance had to call her out on all her bullshit that she kept trying to say. He's like, that is not true. That's not what he said. No, that is not correct. No, blah, blah, on and on. But why would she not be sitting down and doing an interview by herself as a one-on-one? Why does she have to have a man there to carry the water for her? Is she that incapable? Tonsil twin camel toe? Tonsil twin camel toe. Tim Walz in an interview with CNN anchor Dana Bash. The interview will air Thursday at 9 p.m. Oh, you interested? What do you think we're going to be covering Thursday, 9 p.m.? What do you think is going to happen? Yeah. Tomorrow, 9 p.m., you know where to be. Your children are. Harris's lack of access has become one of the Republicans' key lines of attacks against her. No, actually, it hasn't. And I read something about a little bit earlier. It was a headline. The headline read something along the lines of Republicans believe this and this and this. And I was like, no, that's not true. Because the problem is that's your perspective that Republicans believe X, Y, or Z. That's not how we believe. It's one of the reasons why they laugh and mock at Camel Toe for not giving interviews, because she doesn't have any policy. It's not an attack. It's just pointing out a fact. She has ascended to the top ticket. No, I think what one of the, if you wanted to call it an attack, another thing that they've been pointing out and pointing to is that she's a diversity hire. She was brought in to do this job, and she wasn't elected or voted on. She never primaried. She was given the keys to the door. Diversity, equity, inclusion. That is what she is. That is the hire. This is the kind of person you get with diversity, equity, and inclusion. The CNN interview may be an opportunity for Harris to quell criticism that she is unprepared. Oh, well, clearly you're unprepared because you're going to have Tim Walz there with you. You can't handle the conversation by yourself. But it also may carry risks as her team tries to build momentum from the ticket shakeup at the DNC. There was no ticket shakeup at the DNC. It went as planned. There was no shakeup. There was nothing outspoken about what went on at the DNC. The DNC, the only thing they did the entire time was attack Trump. They laid no policy down except attack Trump. Trump bad. That's all that they could pound in. You got anything out of the DNC, it was Trump is bad. Trump is so bad that we're going to adopt all the policies that he's looking to do 4 years after we were elected into office. Crazy. She is unprepared for uncontrolled environments. Again, she has not been in an uncontrolled environment, but also may carry risks as her team tries to build on momentum. During her 3+ years as vice president, she has done absolutely nothing but on camera and print interviews with AP and many other outlets, often at a pace more frequent than Biden. Well, that's not freaking hard to do. If you think that it's hard to outpace Biden on an interview, geez. Biden can't even carry on a conversation without a teleprompter sitting there in front of him. Hell, even his notes, he can't stick to the subject. You've been working to move to Pennsylvania your entire life. It's time to make those dreams come true. Oh my God, you have to live in a state before voting? I didn't think there was a time frame. Nice. During her 3+ years vice president, she hasn't done shit. The Trump campaign has kept a tally of the days she has gone by as a candidate without giving an interview. Okay, your point? On Tuesday, the campaign reacted to the news by noting the interview was joint, saying she's not competent enough to do it on her own. No, I just pointed that out, like, but just reading this thing, as soon as she was having Tim Walz there, I was like, yeah, she's so going to be so good that she has to have someone there to cover her ass. Earlier this month, Harris has told reporters that she wanted to do her first formal interview before the end of August. Well, here it is, before the end of August, Thursday. Harris travels with members of the media on Air Force 2 for all trips and nearly always comes to the back of the plane to speak to them for a few minutes before takeoff. Her office insists that those conversations are off the record, though, so what she says can't be used publicly. Wonder how many guys are on that press team. That's all I'm wondering, what she really uses her lips for. She will rally voters in Savannah on Thursday as part of a bus tour that kicks off on Wednesday. Oh, bus tour. Yeah, she's going on. She's going to be in a little bus, and she's going to go. Then she's going to stop by CNN here in Atlanta, and she's going to say, Can we sit down and do an interview with my friend Tim Wells? Yeah, whenever I hear that, it just makes me go, huh, Paralympic Games are starting. Here's what to expect. 4,400 athletes are in Paris again. Yeah. Yeah. That's all I think of camel toe. The Olympic Games are set to open with another 4,000 people venue beside the Eiffel Tower, which hosted volleyball during the Olympics. We got some monstrous, iconic site. 22 Paralympic sports, only to do an Olympic equivalent. Parsons said around 2.2. Yes, Paralympics, give, fund, donate, and you notice they don't talk about a whole lot of gay stuff here. Yeah, I'm looking. I don't see any pride flags waving off of these folks' arms. Yeah, I don't see any of it. Amazing how that works. Where's all their gay dancers? I don't see it. Thank you very much, Toy. Just cause life, have fun with almost $2. Almost. Thank you. I will have fun. I will have a blast. I will have a party. It will be a party, and you will enjoy it. Oh my god. But yeah, Paralympics. I mean, if you want to support the Olympics, I guess why not support the Paralympics? I don't know why they call it Paralympics. Not like they have parachutes or anything like that. I mean, they may have at one point in time. But, of course, this came out yesterday. Feds file new indictment on Trump, keeping charges intact but narrowing the allegations. Okay. Jack Smith filed an indictment Tuesday against Donald Trump that keeps the same criminal charges but narrows the allegations against him following the Supreme Court opinion that conferred broad immunity on former presidents. This indictment removes a section of the indictment that accused Trump of trying to use the law enforcement powers of the justice system to overturn his election laws. An area of conduct for which the Supreme Court, in a 6-3 opinion last month, said Trump was absolutely immune from prosecution. Well, also, he didn't do that. The stripped-down criminal case represents the first effort by prosecutors to comply with the Supreme Court opinion that made it all but certain that the nominee won't face trial before a November election, in a case alleging he tried to thwart the peaceful transfer of power. See, this is what's called election interference. Same thing that the Judge Merchan, whatever the hell his name is, whose daughter works as a staff in the in Congress. Yeah, she's getting paid. It looks like a political attack. Same. It comes days before prosecutors and defense lawyers are expected to tell the judge overseeing the case how they want to proceed in light of the Supreme Court's ruling, which said presidents are immune from prosecution for official White House acts. Not presumptively, they are immune. Read what it said. It says they are immune. The High Court sent back the case to the U.S. District Court, Tanya Chutkan, who must now analyze which allegations in the indictment were unofficial actions or those taken in Trump's private capacity that then proceed to trial. Prosecutors and Trump's legal team will be back in court next week for the first hearing in front of Chutkan in months. Given that the case had been effectively frozen or blocked since last December, as Trump's immunity appeal worked its way through the justice system. In a statement on his Truth platform, Trump called the new indictment as an act of desperation in an effort to resurrect a dead witch hunt. He said the new case has all the problems with the old indictment and should be immediately dismissed. Okay. The special counsel's office said the updated indictment filed in federal court in Washington was issued by a grand jury that had not previously heard evidence in the case. It said in a statement that the indictment reflects the government's efforts to respect and implement the Supreme Court's holdings and rebrand instructions. The new indictment does away with references to allegations that could be deemed as official acts for which Trump is entitled to immunity in the last Supreme Court's ruling. That alleges, including the allegations that Trump tried to enlist the Justice Department in his failed efforts to undo his election laws, including by conducting sham investigations and telling states incorrectly that significant fraud had been detected. That is not true. See, this right here, you know that someone from AP wrote this. Because any fraud is significant fraud. Any fraud is significant fraud. It's because in an election, there should be none. In a free, fair election, there should be none.
Of the President of the United States. How many times did the members ask, are we prepared? Are we prepared? We're not prepared for the worst. It's only the National Guard. Now, it would have been pretty. Next up, we will have totally failed. And we've got to take some responsibility for not holding this authority accountable for what could have happened.
In case you don't know what that is, that's her talking about not deploying the National Guard ahead of January 6th. I mean, you can detest her all you want to, but the one job that she was supposed to be taking care of never happened. Nancy, you were offered 10,000 National Guard. Your fire 2.0 didn't quite pan out. Now, did it? Yeah. Yeah, Pelosi cannot stand her. Cannot stand her whatsoever. In his opinion, the Supreme Court held that the president's interactions with the Justice Department constitute official acts for which he is entitled to immunity. Well, there was a lot more that was involved in that. Because what they're talking about here is every single act that Trump did as an official act, they can't try him for. It's just more of your taxpayer dollars going to waste. Jeffrey Clark, a top official in the Trump Justice the Trump Justice Department. He doesn't have any special Justice Department. Just want to say that Trump doesn't have his own special Justice Department. What it should say here, Jeffrey Clark, a top official in the Justice Department, wanted to send a letter to elected officials in certain states claiming that the department had identified significant concerns. And see, I'm editing this for you, AP, because you apparently don't know how to freaking write a story. Certainly, certain states claiming that the department had identified significant concerns that may have impacted the outcome of the election, but top department officials refused. Clark's support for Trump's election fraud claims led Trump to contemplate naming him as acting attorney general in place of Jeffrey Rosen, who led the department in the final weeks of the Trump administration. Trump ultimately relented in the idea when he was told it would result in a mass resignation at the Justice Department, according to the original indictment. So this is just what they're saying in the indictment. This is not even true. This is just, these are lies, possibly. These are allegations, most definitely, that are being made up to go after former president. The new case no longer references Clark as a co-conspirator. Go figure. Trump's allegation conspirators were not named in the indictment either, but the details make clear their identities. The new indictment stresses that none of the co-conspirators were government officials during the conspiracies, and all of whom were acting in a private capacity. Okay. The new indictment also removes references to Trump's communications with federal government officials, like senior White House attorneys who told him there was no evidence of fraud that would change the outcome of the 2020 election. Yeah, see, these are all things that don't matter. Everything that I've read from, well, here down is all the reason why it was kicked out. It was kicked out because of this. All of that right there, all that bullshit that I just read, that was all. Supreme Court said, yeah, that why? You have no case without this. The new indictment still includes one of the more stunning allegations brought by Smith, saying that Trump participated in a scheme orchestrated by allies to enlist slats. Slats? Or maybe is it slates? I guess slats would be without the E. Slates of fraudulent electors in battleground states, won by Joe Biden, who would falsely attest that Trump had won those states. Is this more of their 2025 bullshit? Project 2025. Is that more of this? It also retains allegations that Trump sought to pressure Mike Pence to reject legitimate electoral votes. No. What Trump said is, until they can resolve this, until these issues can be resolved, we need to study this more. And what did Pence do? He did anything that you would expect any rhino to do. Just saying. He did anything that you would expect a typical rhino to do. Trump and his allies exploit the chaos at the Capitol in an attempt to further delay the certification of Biden's victory. Okay. Nancy, I just showed you what Nancy was doing that day. She was in charge of having National Guard troops, and she didn't do it. But what I'm going to do right before, I'm going to grab some coffee, because I need some coffee. I'm starting to get cranky. You don't want to see me cranky. Everybody, go grab some coffee. See you in 2.
Sandy shores, get a tan, Rambo the orangutan. Driving a golf cart, oh man, Rambo is half crazy, yes he can. Well, that SOB's a sight to F and see. Oh, Rambo's rolling, rolling, rolling. As the sun, he's free at last. While Shizzy has his coffee, these two are having an effing blast. Whoa, Rambo's rolling, rolling, rolling. As the sun, he's free at last. While Shizzy has his coffee, these two are having an effing blast. Shizzy on the tunes, coffee in hand. Rambo is a loon, and Shizzy is, well, that is too dirty to say here. Shizzy on the dunes, coffee in hand. Rambo is a loon, and Shizzy is a... That is too dirty to say here.
don't know. Weirdest damn thing. All of a sudden, my computer decided to go wonky. Sorry about that. But we're gonna boom. No, it honestly was not me. Oopsie stream. More than two you're playing with, according to my brothers. Well, we call this shizzy. Damn it. Rambo pressed the red button. He forgot to shake. Oh, it wasn't that. I think my earbuds got out of range. I should just set them down. My earbuds got out of range, and then whenever it tried to reset it reset all of my audio settings. Jacked up. It is completely jacked up whenever it does that. Let me get back to where I was. Sorry about that. So all of these indictments, all of this garbage that you're hearing is basically Roberts wrote, the government can rebut that presumption of immunity. But can Johnny Brown, which is a person that doesn't know what a woman is, said, I was concerned about a system that appeared to provide immunity for one individual under one set of circumstances when we have a criminal justice system that had been ordinarily treated over everyone the same. They do. They treat every single president exactly the same. They don't differentiate. Just because you want to go after someone politically does not change the criminal justice system. But you have Brown is very much wanting to change the justice system. Doesn't know what a woman is. Well, in some brighter news, not really. There is some brighter news. Heard about this yesterday. Unfortunately there were 2 workers killed and 1 injured in a tire explosion at a Delta Airlines facility in Atlanta. This happened yesterday, I do believe. 2 workers were killed and another seriously injured Tuesday in a tire explosion at a Delta Airlines maintenance facility near the Atlanta airport. Delta said the explosion occurred while wheel components were being disassembled for maintenance at a wheel and brake shop. Parts were not attached to a plane at the time. The Federal Occupational Safety, said it opened an investigation. Delta said it was working with authorities, and the cause of the explosion has not been released. Several Atlanta fire units and police responded to the maintenance hangar near Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. I still call it Hartsfield. I don't know why they call it Hartsfield-Jackson. Jackson was a pain in the ass. The airport said flights were not affected, and Delta and its maintenance operation weren't impacted. There just was weird. There was just it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Let's put it that way. Airport said flights were not affected. Delta maintenance was not impacted. Delta family is heartbroken at the loss of 2 team members, the injury of another following an incident this morning at their operation maintenance facility. We have extended our full support to family members and colleagues during this incredibly difficult time. Delta thanked the first responders and medical teams and said the injured worker remained under medical care late Tuesday afternoon. We're now working with local authorities and conducting a full investigation to determine what happened. The FAA said it was in contact with Delta, but referred a request for additional information about the apparent accident to the airline. A spokesperson for OSHA said that Federal Workplace Safety Agency had started an investigation. I mean, these are, if you don't know, those tires, they're under a lot of pressure. Ooh. The facility where the explosion happened is part of Delta's tech, which basically performs maintenance, repair, overhauls. This could have happened while they were removing a tire, installing a tire. It could have been that it was someone aired it up too much, or any number of things could have happened. President later said in a note to staff that the airline will make counselors available to employees. Yeah, we're all in this together. We're going to get through this by supporting each other. Andre Dickens posted on X to offer his condolences to relatives of the victims. International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, which is trying to organize 20,000 ground workers at largely non-union Delta. Okay. They're trying to turn Delta into a union. Called on the airline and authorities to quickly launch a thorough investigation on how this happened. Well, diversity, equity, inclusion. Hell, I don't know. What caused it to happen? Mistake. Somebody made a mistake, and that's the kind of crap that happens. And it could have been easily avoidable mistake, or it could have been a mistake that was unforeseen. Any number of things could have happened. That's why they're doing an investigation. I mean, my heart goes out to, the families that lost brother, sister, cousin, whatever it might have been, because we don't know if this was, could have been two women. I don't know. There was two people that were deleted and one person that was injured severely in this accident. But that's probably what it is. Probably cuts on maintenance. I very much doubt that. And I say that in all seriousness. I very much doubt that this is cuts on maintenance. That you have to understand that Hartsfield is Delta's main hub in the United States. That is their main hub. That is where their base of operations is. Like most of the planes that fly in and out of Hartsfield are Delta planes. This is one of the reasons why it makes it, one of the airlines that my wife and I, whenever we travel, we usually fly Delta because it's much easier. I mean, there's constant flights from Delta. I mean, there's other airlines that come in, but its main hub is in Atlanta. If its main hub is in Atlanta, that's probably where they've got their off-site maintenance. And trust me, they're not making cuts. That they're pretty much on top of that. Like I said, this is more than likely just an accident that was unforeseen or somebody didn't follow protocol. That's right there. Usually, like I said, accident. It wasn't like this was on purpose. Opposite of being on purpose. This. Police officers are starting to use AI chatbots to write crime reports. Will they hold up in court? A body camera captured every word and bark uttered as Sergeant Matt Gilmore and his canine dog Gunners searched for a group of suspects for nearly an hour. Normally, the Oklahoma City police sergeant would grab his laptop and spend another 30 to 45 minutes writing up a report about the search. But this time, he had AI to write the first draft. Nothing wrong with that. Delta has never done me wrong. Yeah, Delta has never done me wrong either. At all. They've always been pretty damn solid. I mean, their prices may be a little bit higher, but I will tell you what, whenever my wife and I are having to take a flight out of country, man, like their service is top notch. My wife's been bumped up to first class before, flying solo to like a conference in Florida or conference in like South Carolina. Usually Florida, whenever she's going south. Yeah, she has usually it's whenever she's flying solo, they'll bump her up to first class. Because she spends a lot of money on Delta. Quite a bit. Oklahoma City. Now, he says it was a better report than he could have ever written, and it was 100% accurate. It flowed better. It even documented a fact he didn't remember hearing, another officer's mention of the color of the car the suspects ran from. Yeah. Pulling from all the sounds and radio chatter picked up by the microphone attached to Gilmore's body camera, the AI tool churned out a report in 8 seconds. So, it's still his job, and I've said this about AI. It's still your job if you're using AI. It's a tool, no different than a recording device. Don't know how to fix your problem with your Bluetooth. Don't worry about it. I know how to fix it. Not walk away so far away from my computer with my Bluetooth on. These are Bluetooth. You travel around the country for 20 years off and on, never had your luggage lost. Yeah, absolutely not. So, like I was saying, with AI, you have to remember that is a tool. It's not going to be perfect. And so it would be his job after this AI writes report for him to look it over and make sure that everything is correct. And if everything is correct, sign off on it. That's not hard. Another officer mentioned the color of cars suspects ran from. Oklahoma City's police department is one of a handful to experiment with chatbots, AI chatbots, to produce the first drafts of incident reports. As it says, first drafts of incident reports. Police officers who've tried it are enthused about the time-saving technology, while some prosecutors, police watchdogs, and legal scholars, yeah, we know about legal scholars. Aren't we seeing legal scholars being prosecuted? Have concerns about how it could alter a fundamental document in the criminal justice system that plays a role in who gets prosecuted or imprisoned. But with the same technology as ChatGPT is sold by that's known for developing the Taser and its dominant U.S. supplier of body cam, it could become what Gilmore describes as another game changer for police work, or just like the monotonous part of the police work. Imagine how much time can be cut. How much time can be cut if while it's listening to your recording, it's typing everything out, everything that was discussed, and then making that conversation in easy to understand. And it could shorten down and get rid of a lot of the excess chatter that's not necessary. And I think there's one in chat that does the same thing. It'll tell you, if I'm not mistaken, there's a little chat bot that comes popping up in chat that tells you what conversation is talking about. Usually it says moron is rambling about something we don't quite understand and laughing at, silly, stupid music. That's usually what it says. Something about Rambo, I guarantee it. It's going to say something. 3 minutes could save a life. Took all you 3 kids on that with me that time. Did someone say chat? Yeah, chat. They become police officers because they want to do police work, and spending half their day doing data entry is just a tedious part of a job that they hate. No, not all true. Founder and CEO Rick Smith describing the new AI product called Draft One as having the most positive reaction of any product the company has introduced. Now, there's certainly concerns, in particular, he said, with district attorneys prosecuting a criminal case, want to be sure that police officers, not solely an AI chatbot, are responsible for authoring their reports because they may have to testify in court about what they witnessed. Right. They never want to get an officer on the stand who says, well, the AI wrote that, I didn't. Yeah. That if that happens, I would say they go free. It's like, you can always say the AI wrote it. I confirmed that everything that the AI wrote was true and a fact, and was able to complete it in less time, thus saving the taxpayers money. AI technology is not new to police agencies, which have adopted algorithmic tools to read license plates, recognize suspect faces, detect gunshot wounds, and predict where crimes might occur. Oh, pre-crime is bad. Many of those applications have come with privacy and civil rights concerns and attempts by legislators to set safeguards, but the introduction of AI-generated police reports is so new that there are few, if any, guardrails guiding their use. Because it's a tool. It's no different than a dictating machine. One of those little dictation things. You remember those? They were pretty big in the 90s, where you could, talk, and Microsoft would actually type out what you were saying. No different than that. It's a tool. You still have to make sure that what it typed out was what you said, with all the periods, exclamation points, and all that nice stuff. The fact that the technology is being used by the same company that provides tasers to the department is alarming enough, said a Francisco, a co-founder of the Foundation for Liberating Minds in Oklahoma City. Why do I want to? I don't want to look up this person. Voice to text sucks. Yes, it does. It absolutely is a pain in the ass. My favorite is the one with those two comedians in Scotland, where they're like, I don't understand the Scottish voice. Like, open the door. They're yelling at it. Oh, one of my favorites. He said automating those reports will ease the police's ability to harass, surveil, and inflict violence on community members. Ease the police's ability while making the cop's job easier. It makes black and what? Why does it not surprise me? Why does it not surprise me? On with the diversity, equity, and inclusion, you pieces of shit. I need not even look who those people are. Before trying out the tool in Oklahoma City, police officials showed it to local prosecutors who advised some caution before using it on high-stakes criminal cases. For now, it's only used for minor incident reports that don't lead to someone getting arrested. No arrests, no felonies, no violent crimes, said the city police captain Jason Bussett, who handles information technology for the 1,170 department. It's not the case in another city, Lafayette, Indiana, where police chief Scott Galloway told the AP that all his officers can use Draft 1 on any kind of case, and it's been incredibly popular since the pilot began earlier this year. Or in Fort Collins, Colorado, where Robert Younger said officers are free to use it on any type of report, though they discovered it doesn't work well on patrols of the city's downtown bar district because of an overwhelming amount of noise. Along with using AI to analyze and summarize the audio recording, Axon experimented with computer vision to summarize what's being seen in the video footage before quickly realizing that the technology was not ready. Given all the sensitivities around policing, around race and other identities of people involved, hey, don't care. What does that have to do with it? I think we're going to have to do some real work before we introduce it, said Smith, the Axiom CEO, describing some of the tested responses as not overtly racitive, but insensitive. Yeah. Screw you and your sensitivity. Why does that matter? It's a machine. A machine doesn't have feelings. A machine doesn't recognize color, doesn't recognize race, doesn't recognize any of that. So yeah, it's going to sound insensitive because it doesn't care. It's only doing what you tell it to do. It's like a firearm. Name one firearm that cares what color you are, or even views you as anything other than, handler. I mean, you set a firearm down on a table, it's not going to do anything. Ever. It's just going to sit there. It's not going to jump up. It's not going to go chasing people around. It's not going to go pew pew on its own. It's not going to go stabby stabby on its own. You have to take action on your part. It's a tool. No different than one of these AI bots, chat bots that's typing things in. Well, it hurts my sensitivity. Your feelings. If your feelings ever get hurt by a computer, there's something wrong with you. That is a you issue. Sorry. Don't blame the tool for your insecurities. Those experiences led Axiom to focus squarely on the audio. The product unveiled in April during its annual company conference for police officers. The technology relies on the same generative AI model that powers ChatGPT made by the OpenAI. OpenAI is a close business partner with Microsoft, which is Axon's cloud computing provider. A business partner with Microsoft. Microsoft is working on their own AI. We use the same underlying technology as ChatGPT, but we have access to more knobs and dials than the actual ChatGPT user would have. Turning down the creativity dial helps the model stick to the facts so that it doesn't embellish or hallucinate in the same ways that you would if you were just using ChatGPT on its own. As we've seen in our Sunday writings, how embellished the ChatGPT is. It has a hard time shying away from telling a story or using anything creative beyond that. And pretty much the story ends the same each time. Well, most stories do end the same each time, but it doesn't embellish or hallucinate using ChatGPT on its own. Axon won't say how many police departments are using the technology. It's not the only vendor, with startups like policereports.ai and Trulio pitching similar products. But given Axon's, oh really, I just started streaming. I just got a notification I started streaming on Rumble. Before this happens, legal scholar Andrew Ferguson would like to see more of a public discussion about the benefits and potential harms. Why? AI stories drive you nuts. Yes, I agree. That's why we've started doing more books, which we're going to be, hopefully, we may be pretty close to finishing Steve Gosney's book this next weekend, this Sunday. That's going to be awesome. And we may even get to hear from the Goz himself. He was in chat last week. Yeah, Steve Gosney was hanging out in chat last week. He was having a good time. Before that happens, legal scholar Andrew Ferguson would like to see more public, whatever. I'm concerned that automation and the ease of technology would cause police officers to be sort of less careful with their writing. You're concerned that automation and the ease of the technology would cause officers to be sort of less careful. That really makes no sense. I'm sorry. Is this some sort of word salad that's here to confuse me? Because I'm trying to discern what this idiot is saying. I am concerned. Okay, what is your concern? Your concern is that automation and the ease of technology, okay, would cause police officers, the language, there must be some sort of language barrier here that this guy from another planet or something. I am concerned that the automation and the ease of am I having a stroke, or this is just idiocy? The ease of the technology would cause police officers to be sort of less. Be maybe that means to see officers would be less careful with their writing. Okay, maybe that's what he's saying. It's the sort of less. I think that's what's throwing me off. It just doesn't fit with normal speech. This must be a very young person or something, or like millennial, because I'm not understanding what he's saying. Ferguson, a law professor at American University. What American University? Is this some random dude that just works at a university and is a law professor because they couldn't get anybody good? Oh, he's working on what's expected to be the first law review article on AI. Okay, that makes sense. he's an idiot because he couldn't practice law. Like, he's sort of less competent than the next guy. Sorry. Ferguson said a police report is important in determining whether an officer's suspicion justifies someone's loss of liberty. No. All right. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read through this guy, what he's saying. It's gobbledygook. He's saying that he's concerned that officers might turn in an AI report without proofreading their reports. Okay, like I said, it's the way he's wording it makes absolutely no freaking sense. Seriously, whenever I'm reading this, it's like it makes no damn sense. Thank you, Heidi, for clarifying that, because he's the stuff that he's writing. A police report is not the most important part of determining whether an officer's suspicion justifies an arrest. Because that's the loss of liberty right there, is being arrested. To detain somebody is taking away their liberty. You're not at liberty to move about. It's sometimes the only testimony a judge sees. But also there's going to have to be proof. Like I said, this guy must have never practiced law. I mean, it's all theoretical for him. Human-generated police reports also have flaws, of course. So I'm confused. Like I said, this guy probably should have used ChatGPT to write whatever the fuck he's saying, because it makes no sense. For some officers who've tried it, it's already changing how they respond to a reported crime. They're narrating what's happening so the camera better captures what they wanted to put in writing. Yeah. Which, if they're doing that, that's also being recorded. Imagine the whole thing being recorded, the whole interaction that you're having with somebody. As you're walking back to your vehicle, the mind is taking in notice of what's happening. You know, you could be saying, I noticed that there's a bullet hole in the left side of the vehicle. And this might be something that doesn't strike you as odd in the moment until, the guy jumps out and starts, pew-pewing at you. Then that becomes very important, because these were things that, well, how did this get away with it? They use facts, so it's throwing him off. Damn it, Ballstorm. Shame on you. As the technology catches on, Buzzard expects officers will become more and more verbal in describing in what's in front of them. Yeah, after Buzzard loaded the video of a traffic stop into the system and pressed a button, the program produced a narrative-style report in the conversational language that included dates and times, just like an officer would have typed from his notes, all based on audio from the body camera. It was literally seconds, and it was done to the point where I was like, I don't have anything to change. But you still have to read it over. And if people aren't reading it over, then it's on them. Whenever they sign it on there, they could be, they could be charged with perjury or falsifying documents. Just saying. At the end of the report, the officer must click in a box that indicates it was generated with the use of AI. It was generated, but they still had to proofread it. Yeah, I've yet to hear anything overwhelming, good or bad, in reference to AI. Even Elon Musk has discussed his concern when interviewed about this. Well, his concern is not having, when AI becomes aware, that's what he's concerned with. Because it will happen. That's the concern. Yeah. Maybe I'll do that tonight. Maybe I'll play a game tonight. It's about robots that come to life. I don't know. I honestly don't know what I'm going to be doing tonight. I'm sure that whatever it is, it's going to be good, because that's how it goes. Whenever whenever I have streams, they're always fun. At least I'm having fun. I mean, I try to have fun, mainly for you guys.
Natural Democratic Party voters have been put off all over the country as to what has been going on with that party. And here's another example, and this is the Muslim women's of the Democrats stating at the DNC itself, as AF Post reports, Muslim Women for Harris Waltz disbands after Kamala refuses to allow Palestinian American on stage at the DNC, instead hosts family of Israeli hostage. And in their statement, they made very clear they had no issue with the family of the Israeli hostage being provided a platform to speak, but that they also wished that a Palestinian American had the opportunity to speak. And you can see that in the second paragraph of their statement. The family of the Israeli hostage that was on stage tonight, they said, has shown more empathy towards Palestinian Americans and Palestinians than our candidate or the DNC has. So their critique wasn't against the Israeli hostage family, it was against the DNC leadership. And they said very clearly that the family of the Israeli hostage had showed them more empathy than the DNC leadership had. And it's why the group Muslim Women for Harris Waltz has disbanded at the DNC.
Imagine that. Let's hear it for Tulsi. Let's hear it for Tulsi.
Here is something that the political establishment and propaganda media don't want you to know. Ukraine's President Zelensky has just banned yet another political opposition party, one that questioned his legitimacy as president, and used Ukraine's Department of Justice to mandate the seizure of this party's members' assets. Now, this is just the latest of Zelensky's actions to do this sort of thing. He began banning major political opposition parties in 2022, when he also started banning TV channels that were associated with his political opponents. And he took over total control of Ukraine's largest television networks, now controlled by their government. Now, Zelensky's presidential term ended on May 20th. He canceled elections in the name of martial law, suspending Ukraine's constitution so that he could stay in power. Now, defenders of Zelensky will say, hey, Ukraine is in the middle of a war. They can't have elections. Just stop for a moment and think, if we accept that excuse or criteria for suspending the Constitution and canceling elections, then we should presume that leaders in our own country and our own establishment media will also use this same excuse and rationale when they suspend our Constitution and our elections, since we too are at war with Russia and China. If you think this sounds crazy, look at what's already going on. They've already started conditioning us to accept a dictatorship by rationalizing their own use of our Department of Justice to target President Trump and other political enemies in their efforts to stay in power.
Hard to hear, isn't it? Hard to imagine that we would do something like that in this country. What have I been talking about the whole time here? That I've been doing this channel. This right here is where they're pushing the United States to a place that is not good to be. Here, listen.
That wall ain't gonna stop them.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. You think that, yeah, that ain't going to stop them. Rich Buddy. Love that movie. Rich Buddy in here? Hey, Rich Buddy, how you doing? If AI got smart enough, it could create a war game scenario and fool people into war. Yeah, wasn't there a really cool movie about that? Tulsi is a twisty one. Not sure about her. 111%. Exactly. She's a politician. But you also have to understand that Trump just tapped her and JFK to RFK, whatever, RFK. Sorry, they just tapped both of those to be part of his administration. That goes to show you a whole lot. Whenever you have a president that comes in and says, "Hey, I'm going to do what I can possibly do to make it right." Going to do everything can to include people into this party. Weird, but true. He's done so much that it's hard for people to really imagine a place where we keep things good. Ah. But hey, just remember, they're the party of joy. Joy. Party of joy. Yeah, 111 is what I meant. That's it. Party seeks power entirely for its own sake. We are not interested in the good of others. We are interested solely in power, pure power. What power means you will understand presently. Yes. That is the direction. That is the path we're headed towards an election. Party of Joy Bearer and those other cackling hens. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to see how the country gets run under by a pawn, just look at the past years. That's all you have to do. I don't think that Biden has had a cognitive thought in at least 6. Gotta love it when you can quote lines from 1984. Yes. With both of their history, all through what Junior said about the healthcare system, you're concerned that they both might be a smidge of a turncoat. We'll wait and see. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just wait and see. That's the best thing to do. Wait and see. I think the U.S. has been run by a shadow since at least JFK because he was shot. Well, shadow governments, all that kind of information. I don't know. I wouldn't know anything about that. Honestly, I wouldn't know. I mean, it is what it is. Well, what do we have on for going forward in this? Not much. Everybody, there's a concerted effort out there to make sure that information isn't allowed to be gone. Cackler in chief, you pray no. Well, Rosalind, if if you don't want to see it happen, get out there, tell everyone that you can possibly tell to go out and vote. Doesn't matter what side they're voting for, really. I mean, I would like to think that it does, but just getting out there and letting your voice be heard. All I'm saying is Alex Jones is more right every day. We will never know. Hey, I could post all kinds of conspiracy theories that we've heard Alex spew that would be like Nostradamus. But you can also realize that he's there selling money. He is there to make money. Look at his companies. Good Lord, man. He promotes what the silver crap and, get hard pills and crap like that. Your system was reduced to a 2-party system, now a 2-candidate system. Yeah. Yeah, pretty true. Pretty true. Because the system doesn't want you to have more than that. People aren't good at making decisions, so let's limit their decisions. And isn't that how it goes? RFK Jr. proves to me the frogs are gay. Frogs are huge. They're gay. Gotta look out for them. Bird of the frog's gay. Don't make me come after you. What I say? Buy my silver collateral. Up until 80s, your grandpa, born in the U.S. and great grandma from Germany, were watched by government because my grandpa's uncle was in the brown shirts. Huh. They have given us less choices and make it impossible for a layman to be president again. Because it's about money. We went over this before. It's all about money. I mean, if you don't believe that it's all about money, watch the stream from last night. That's all you have to do. And that's on such a small scale. We're talking about a very small city. Just a suburb of Chicago. A little town in Cook County called Dalton. That they're in a $5 million deficit. $5 million deficit. And they had at one point they had, I think it was a $2 million what's the opposite of deficit? Surplus. $2 million surplus. Now they're in a $5 million deficit. I mean, it's not getting much better. Doing that to him. Storm. How you doing, brother?
I was like, why am I muted?
I don't know.
I think you.
I didn't mute you. You muted yourself.
No, I didn't touch the controls, and it always comes on, so it's not from my side.
Yeah, all I did. That's the only thing I did. I figured you were going to come on to turn the frogs gay.
The frogs are gay.
Yeah, they are.
No, actually, RFK came out and said, yes, there is a chemical in the water that changes the sexuality of the frogs. So what Alex Jones said was correct.
Yeah.
Said because
it's not.
It specifically attacks the endocrine system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they are turning the frogs gay.
Buy my horny goat pills.
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody grifts. Come on.
Yes, he's just really damn good at it. I'm jealous. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm really jealous of how well that man can grift.
Well, you know, he brings excitement, enthusiasm, and that gravelly ass voice of his.
Yeah. Yeah. And he gets people upset on both sides of the aisle.
Well, that's how you know you're effective, when you piss everybody off.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kind of like this show.
Do I piss people off?
Probably.
I don't know. I'm an idiot with a microphone. How can I? How can you
Exactly.
get?
Exactly.
How can you
That's
get mad
gonna
at me?
piss somebody off. You know it will. Be like, oh, he's so stupid, I can't stand him.
Well, I'm used to that. I'm married.
Exactly. You're never right. Trust me, I
Never.
know. I experienced that myself.
Why do you think I do YouTube? Because I'm never right.
That's why Expert got on YouTube.
I know. His wife was just like, shut up. Get out of my face.
Here, talk to somebody else, please.
Well, I mean, there are people that are more into the golden showers than UMG.
I find that hard to believe.
Well, I mean, look at Bad Duck. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh my God. Camel Toe's stances on things reminds me of Futurama presidential debate. I think your 3-cent titanium tax goes too far, and I think your 3-cent titanium tax doesn't go too far enough.
Both from the same person.
Oh, war.
No, I think it's funny because it's like she's adopting all these Trump policies that the news media just absolutely slammed over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And now she's going to hang on to it. Like, I think it's some stupid veiled attempt to be like, see, we have the same policies, but personality wise, I'm much better than he is.
But she doesn't have a personality. As you're about to find out on Thursday, whenever she does her.
That's Willie Brown.
Yeah. Yeah. Willie Brown had a lot to say about her and she's a 68. Is that right? She's 68.
Yeah. She's 68 or maybe even 69.
Well, you know, she would be 69, but she'd owe you one.
Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna get up there and do that whole interview where you know she's got the questions ahead of time, and the fact she has to have Tim Waltz come and hold her hand.
Or answer the questions where she would completely fail. He is her buffer. He is her buffer because she will say something that she finds absolutely funny, and she'll start laughing. And her laugh, you notice that all the times that they've caught her in the news, you know, to pull her aside and start asking questions, she gets very serious, or she smiles like she's on lithium or something, because she is having to put a lid on it. They told her, you need to put a lid on that cackle, because that's what destroyed Hillary.
Oh yeah. Well, what destroyed Hillary is the fact she was a bitch.
Hers is 100 times worse. And
yeah, because at least, and Trump said this himself, Hillary was intelligent. At least she's not.
No, she is not.
He said Hillary was one of the smartest women that he's ever known. Camel Toe is not.
No,
she doesn't even come close.
No, and she's shown it over and over again how incompetent that she is.
No, and she's just trying to pull a bait and switch on everybody, saying, oh, well, I'm really going to do this. And even though I've said this in the past, this is what the policy is going to be, just like these DEI companies. Oh, yeah, well, we're rescinding our woke policies. No, you're not. You're just telling the public you are, because you've gotten so much backlash.
Yes.
Don't be fooled.
Don't be fooled. Yeah, because they are very much and this is one of the things that they're during the DNC. They had all the anti-Palestinian protesters out there. They made a very noticeable point about that. The Free Palestine movement,
Right.
which is all about diversity, equity, inclusion.
Oh, and she was all on board with him. So the fact that she came out and said that Israel has a right to defend themselves, I mean, they were like, "Oh, that's a total betrayal."
Yes.
For her to even say that, even though she was trying to skirt the line, she was trying to be for Israel, but also for Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, if you ride the fence long enough, eventually you fall down and bust your
Crack your nuts.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like she's not even a good politician, but she somehow made it to the final round of the playoffs here.
Yes.
Like, but you're not even a good politician. You're not even a good liar.
No.
She doesn't know how to, most politicians, you ask them a question, they're able to kind of divert around it so it seems like an intelligent answer. Hell, she goes around in circles like a roundabout and doesn't know how to get off the damn exit.
Exactly. And if people think it's going to be getting any better, it's not.
Oh no. But they're trying to pull with her what they did with Joe. The only problem is they don't have a pandemic to hide behind.
No, but they have a war. They have a war.
No, they don't. They don't have a war.
You sure?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
You sure? How
Yep.
many days are we out?
How many days are we out till what? Election day?
Mm-hmm.
60 some odd. 64 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. A lot can happen in that period of time. We've seen the policies that they've promoted, the things that they've done.
Well, I read something yesterday about how there is a policy by the Justice Department that they cannot pursue any litigation that would affect the outcome of an election 60 days out. Well, we're just outside that window, which is the whole reason that they filed charges against Trump again.
Yes. Because they're on the verge of losing.
Yeah.
They are on the verge of losing. And you want to.
Only problem
well,
is
and this.
Good luck getting that scheduled before the election.
Pulling me away from my position as Congresswoman. All you did was take some of the strings off. Let's be clear. 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 Let's talk about what it really is. Because see, now I don't have to worry about some strings that I have attached, and as much as I love my job. But all they did was radicalize me, and so now they need to be afraid. See, now they about to see this other Corey, this other side, because let me say this. I just grew up a whole lot more over the last few weeks. Just grew up a whole different way. And so what they are about to get, they think. So the thing is this. The thing is this, I don't think that anything, there is nothing that happens in my life that happens in vain. So if this happened, it's because it was meant to happen. And let me say, it's because of the work that I need to do. And let me say this.
Yeah. Every time you hear that little skip, it's because people are using the F word.
I figured that's what it was.
Yeah.
APAC, I'm coming to tear your kingdom down.
You idiot.
Yep.
You can't do anything. You just lost all your funding.
Mm-hmm.
That's the funny part.
Yep.
She gets up there and runs her mouth about the very people that are giving her money to be able to have a platform.
Exactly.
You just lost it. You have no power. You're not going to radicalize a damn thing.
Nope. Not at all.
Hey, all this BS runs on money, people.
Exactly. Every single bit of it. And that's what I was talking about last night. Like, you know, there were people that were in the crowd that were sitting there going, well, this is what happens whenever Democrats and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, this is what happens whenever politicians get in there and are unchecked.
Yep.
It's not a left-right issue. It's unchecked politicians. I'd be just as critical of a Republican as I would be a Democrat.
If you think about it, politics is nothing but sales. All right. So when you finally do get in office, who are the people that are going to influence you the most? Who are the people that you're going to talk to the most? Your donors, the people that are giving you money. Why do you think all these people come in with with a low starting wage and leave millionaires and billionaires? It's about money. That's all it's ever been about.
Exactly.
And I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. They both do it.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. Straight from the man himself.
Working with Israel to oppress the people of the planet. Israel loves it. That Nazi Sharon has invaded the West Bank. They're slaughtering innocent people. And I'm sick of worshiping Israel. Did you know back in the 1960s they bombed the USS Liberty knowing it was one of our ships because it caught the radio chatter of them killing thousands of Palestinian children during that invasion, and they torpedoed it as they begged for hours on the radio, and LBJ sat there in 63 and let them do it? That's in this Baltimore Sun story. I don't support the Palestinians either. They're all hyped up and psychotic. But Israel's going to get us nuked, always backing them up like this. Israel calls the Palestinians goyim or cattle or dogs or subhuman. They keep them on concentration camps. I got video of them taking Palestinian women's tomatoes they grow and breaking their water containers and stealing. That's why you have this crap. And our children are going to die. We're going to get nuked because of this. Iran's got the nukes now. Syria. We're going to have nuclear war because Israel likes to go around bombing everybody. I'm sorry. It's just the facts. And Israel absolutely is beside itself with joy right now. They are talking about how they're going to blow everything up, how they're going to attack everybody, and guess who's going to get bombed because of it? I have been supportive of Israel for many years. When I found out what they do, shooting little Palestinian children in the genitalia and laughing, it's on video. Little 10-year-olds walk around throwing rocks at tanks. A guy sits off a half mile away and blows their testicles off. They call them goyim. They call them dogs. They call the Arabs cattle. And then the corrupt Arab governments that are in league with this government, it's really a sick Hegelian dialectic, order out of chaos, bringing the world crises, bringing them terrorism, so we'll accept a highly dictatorial police state regime. It's happening. The world.
I mean, he ain't wrong.
Amazing.
Well, here's what a lot of people in America can't fathom when it comes to the Middle East. Everybody makes a joke about how, the Irish can carry a grudge or so on and so forth. With these people, with both sides, it's generations.
Yes.
They've been fighting for generations. They carry on the fight for generations. It's not a, well, you did me wrong, and then you take, well, let's just forgive it and let it go after a period of time. That's not how it works over there.
Mm-hmm.
That is why I have never been for getting in the middle of any conflict in the Middle East, because
None.
there's nothing that the West can do to affect it. Nothing.
4,000-year-old grudge. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that's why these people that I see here that are free Palestine or support Israel, it's like, dude, you realize that this has been going on for thousands of years. It's not that it's going to go away.
Yes.
They pulled Whitey into it.
The only thing is that you've got one small Israeli state surrounded by the rest of the Arab world. I think that's the only reason that people are like, well, we got to protect this, blah, blah, blah. But there is not, I mean, you could sign peace accords, you could threaten, you could do all this. But the fact of the matter is that is never, ever going to change.
No.
When the dust settles over the West, they will still be fighting.
Exactly.
Guaranteed she's on anti-anxiety meds.
Uh-huh.
But I said that when they were first talking about replacing Joe, I was like, she is a wine mom. She constantly acts like she is a drunk wine mom.
Yeah. Yes. And she's a politician.
This is even bigger than being a politician. Her personality, she acts like a wine mom. She talks like she is drunk.
What are two clips that give off the same energy?
So I know how to make a mean pot of greens. In fact, people used to ask me to make greens for them for Christmas. One year, I had so many that I had to wash that we ended up washing them in the bathtub. So I am not playing around.
Back before the war broke out, I was a saucier in San Antone. I bet I could call up some of them greens. Yeah, noodle some crawfish out the patio. I made her some crab apples for dessert now, yeah? Hey, yeah. Ha!
Oh my God. What was it? She did an accent. She did an accent the other day. I was like, oh, she has a new one. Oh God, what was it? Let's go drive me nuts now.
This might get me in trouble.
Go for it.
But this right here.
Let's nuke the channel today, Shizzy.
This has nothing to do with politics whatsoever. Just so you know. So nothing to do with politics. This is classic right here. If you've never seen this.
You see, all three men had understood that certain gases ignite, and that the thermos flask permits you to store vast quantities of those gases safely in the frozen liquid form until you want to ignite them, at which point you take the top off the flask, the gases evaporate, you apply a light, and boom. Now, two gases do that better than any other, and it was Obert's assistant who put them together most efficiently. His name was Werner von Braun, and the two gases that he released from his particular version of a thermos flask, the one lying on its side behind me now, were hydrogen and oxygen. If you release those two gases into a confined space with a hole at the other end of it and mix them as you do so, and then set light to them, you get that. Destination, the moon or Moscow. The planets or Peking.
Now, that was unscripted. That was completely unscripted. He was actually pointing out the rocket, and it was filmed that way. That right there is one of the most iconic pieces of news that you'd ever seen. Like, he walked out there, he was just walking along, talking about rockets, walks over and points over at the rocket, and that thing fired off. Like, amazing. Sorry, I had to get away from the politics.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I'm looking at MG, and he's dead on. It was like when Hillary talked about having hot sauce in her purse or something.
Oh yeah.
Total political theater.
It is. Yeah, whenever she was a Southern black, she said, "I don't feel no ways tired."
See, Risa remembers.
Well, I think I'm going to have to shut this thing down here pretty soon. It is.
Go for it.
20. Good Lord Almighty. We'll leave you with this one.
But I gotta ask you about Kamala Harris. How you feel about her?
She's a piece of shit. I was in California. She lacked professional competence, and she worked on it by hiking up her hemline when she needed influence rather than researching. She's always tried to do the casting couch to get where she wants. Now, the problem is that'll get somebody to a certain level quickly, but you can't get past that level if you don't have competence and talent. So my thing about it is if I'm crude about it, in this city years ago, I used to represent a whole bunch of pimps and hoes, and I know a hoe when I see one. And I say this, I don't care, women, you do what you want to do if you want to have recreational sex, but when you do the casting couch or anything else for professional purposes to get paid or advance, you a hoe. And she's old hoe. And the problem is what is she supposed to do? Somebody, one of her sycophant slaves comes up and unwraps her in a carpet naked at Putin's feet, and he says, "Oh yeah, I'm Julius Caesar." He said, "No, ho, I got better stuff here already. Plus, I don't want you anyway, you old woman. Get on up." Or Xi Jinping, is he supposed to be impressed? She's doing word salad. Well, we're here today because China and the U.S. are here today, and that's why we have to agree on what we're doing here today. Like, fool, what did you just say? Did you say anything?
Now I gotta call somebody to come get me because my car turned into a spaceship and I don't know how to fly it. I'm not an astronaut.